You're listening to Me and Paranormal You with your host, Ryan Singer. It's more fun to believe. Third year bonus.
Bonus. I mean, was that weird? Coming in on my own intro like that? I hope that wasn't too weird, coming in on my own intro like that. Hey everybody, how you doing? Thank you for listening to another third year bonus of the Mindcast, also known as a podcast, Me and Paranormal You with me and you. I am Ryan Singer. Thank you for listening. This is a solo episode, just in case you've never listened to the program before, where I'm going to wax poetically about paranormal things and whatever is on my mind. I'm over here drinking some mango cranberry. Oh boy, this is some good stuff. Any hoodles, I hope you've been doing well. I hope your week is off to a nice enough start. Considering the events of the world are terrifying, saddening, and evacuating of all hope, seemingly from time to time. How must one keep their head above the rising tide of negativity and hopelessness is a great question. Practicing gratitude is one of the best ways, I would imagine, at least for me. Staying active, being grateful for the things I have control over. Good grammar. I'm also grateful for that, and also syntax. It's such a I don't know. Here's the interesting. Well, not the interesting thing. This is something that you might find interesting. More and more, when it comes to world conflict, I think people in general are, and always have been, but maybe now are just more comfortable saying it, or I don't know, for fear of, seeming anti-nationalistic, which, by the way, nationalism is not a good thing. It's a poison of pride, and which leads to awful situations, as we've seen in the past and currently unfolding. But people don't want war. People don't want conflict. People don't want innocent people. I mean, I think we all understand now that as the people who pay the taxes and all these other things, we are the ones who are funding all of these things, right? And it doesn't matter what country you're in. And there's a point where we've just had enough. And gosh, I mean, it's going to sound crazy to say. And you can see what happens when people are motivated and organized. And we've seen negative manifestations of just those two very things converging in the past, even in this country not too long ago. I'm thinking specifically of January 6th. Imagine if all the citizens of the world united and said, we're just going to take to the streets, and we no longer will let wars happen. We no longer will, allow all of our tax money to be used to build war machines. What would happen? I mean, John Lennon wrote a song, Imagine, right? But, or did Yoko Ono inspire that song? There's a great documentary about Yoko Ono. Which, Yoko Ono gets way too much hate. Way too much hate, in my book. Anyway, so what does any of this have to do with the paranormal, you might be asking? Well, the interconnectedness of all things is paramount over here in this corner of the podcast universe. And I think that it would be remiss for us to say that they're not connected, because this overall worldview, this mentality of the way that the United States or the way that other world governments, they view things, they view other, right? There's such a such a clear distinction between us and them. And we use our national pride to designate that. We use our gender to designate that, our sexual preference to designate us from someone else, right? Or, our states, our cities, our schools, our favorite baseball team, things like that, right? We are obsessed with it to a large degree. And, when it comes to how we behave toward a perceived other, that tells you everything you need to know about the way something is built, right? The way something is programmed. And is it a fear programming or is it a love programming? Was this built from, doubt and uneasiness and, wondering if danger is involved? Or is it built with, in the embrace, the openness, and the come together, the lack of separation? And you can see that whether it's about, political advertising. You can always tell this in political advertising if a commercial is fear-based. For example, I'm currently in Ohio, so Ohio had a lot of commercials about marijuana was voted recreationally legal starting next year, I believe, which is great news for the state of Ohio. But it's fear-based campaigns. When people were trying to get you to vote no, it was all fear. Like, imagine how scary it'll be if marijuana is legal. It was fear-based. And guess what? Fear-based is not working. It used to just work every time, right? I think I'm going out on a limb here without any research or thing like that, but it used to work all the time. If you want to use fear-based, and there was even an interesting thing. You can tell, and I'm not trying to be political here, but there's a very clear distinction between the left and the right in this country, which, by the way, can we get over just two sides? Anyway, so the left, Biden used, I think in the last year, I'm not sure the amount, but it's less than 10% were attack ads for his, running for president again. Compared to, wow, just a huge amount of attack ads from the right. Now, I'm not saying conservatives use fear and attack constantly, but that's what they do, typically. And they're trying to scare you. We need a wall because these people are coming into our country and they're doing horrible things to your children. You can't have marijuana be legalized because, oh my God, your children. It's, all kinds of stuff like that, right? So, do you want to build a wall around your heart, or do you want to live from a position of love, right? And of empathy? Is it more dangerous? Yes. Of course it is, because you can be hurt. We've all been in a relationship before where we've let our guard down, we've embraced someone else, and they've hurt us. That happens. And I'm sure every person listening to this has also hurt someone, right? Either you've been the one who ended the relationship or whatever else, right? Everyone's got skin in the game on this. So when it comes to the other, what's the biggest other there is? Well, the biggest other there is extraterrestrials or interdimensional beings or whoever else, right, out there that is not human, that also has a high level of intelligence. That is the ultimate other, right? And until we're over this me versus them, or be scared of anyone I don't know kind of thing, or be afraid of anyone that's different from me, until that goes away, it's going to be a tough road to hoe. And it all comes down to resources, right? Everybody just wants resources. Everyone just wants to feel like they're going to be okay, like they have enough resources for them and their family, for the ones they love, to be okay. Shelter, food, water, energy. That's all people want. I think that's all people want because it's all people need. And what we want is derived from what we need at the end of the day. So yes, there's more and more homeless people on the streets now than there have been in quite a while. And I would argue there's probably also more 20-room, multi-million dollar mansions than there ever have been before, with maybe 1 to 3 people living in there. Seems strange, right? Seems odd, but it all comes down to people wanting to try to feel safe. And some people will just be so damn ambitious to make millions and millions of dollars so they can keep their family safe in this huge mansion behind a gate, with all the most expensive vehicles and security guards, et cetera, because they're just so damn scared. They're just scared. Are you going to live your life like that? I don't know. It doesn't sound like very much fun, does it? Space Force. Is Space Force there to embrace, to explore, a la Star Trek? Or is it there to protect us from unknown threats from the great beyond? Now, if that's the launching point, it kind of seems like, everything that we see that we don't understand will be a threat. And you understand this in the language that the government constantly uses when it comes to disclosure. National security is paramount. National security is the most important thing. And there's lots of things I don't understand about that, sure. You could say that and you would be correct. But give me a break already. I'm over it. I'm done with it. There is no such thing as a secret too big to keep from the citizens of the world. And you can quote me on that. I don't think I'll ever go back on that one. I'm never going to go back on that and be like, when I said that at the time, I was being a little naive. No, there is no secret too big, especially when it comes to disclosure and the existence of, other intelligent beings in the universe, whether it's, out in space or interdimensionally, like layered through us, on top of us, underneath us, or along with us, or whatever, however we want to say it, or already right here with us. They're, on some energetic level that we just might not perceive on a regular day-to-day basis. There's no secret that big that everyone's not shouldn't know. Everyone is entitled to the truth of the nature of their existence, but resistance as well, I suppose. Maybe that was a Freudian slip. Everyone is allowed to understand, and everyone's allowed to know what the true nature of existence is. And is it a conspiratorial angle to think that this is being withheld from us? I will concede that point, that it is. And it is very likely that the same world governments that we believe are hiding these, ultimate truths from us don't even have the answer. They don't know. They don't have it all figured out to even be able to tell us. Do they have more information than, say, we do? Likely. I would say that's probably likely. Just because they have the resources to be able to obtain information. If I had unlimited resources, who knows how much I'd know? Or who knows to what depths my investigations could go? If I had unlimited, if I won the Powerball, I essentially would be my own country, investigating my own, conducting my own investigations. If I won the Powerball, it would be all bets off. Here's what I would do if I won the Powerball. I would buy large acreage of land and security guards and a mansion, and I would live there alone, right? Now I sound like exactly what I was just railing against. I would buy property, right? I would buy land, and on that land I would have, facilities, and I would be conducting year-round investigations, experiments, research, etc. That's what I would do. I would have like a, not a paranormal compound, but, essentially a place where, I would fund cutting edge research in the world of the paranormal. I would have a magnificent library. It would be open to the public. and people could live there while they worked. So I would be providing grants and things like that for researchers and investigators, not just like PhD people, but we're talking about people who do like good research and do great investigations who aren't necessarily part of academia. That's not a prerequisite for me. And then we would be giving our quarterly reports, to the board of directors, which would be me in a golden throne chair. No, I'm just kidding. But, and we would be disseminating this information, specifically the breakthroughs and the really groundbreaking stuff. We would be disseminating it to as many people as we could, and we'd be broadcasting it as loudly as possible. Imagine Robert Bigelow, who owns Skinwalker Ranch. Imagine he wasn't like a government crony. Like a contractor a guy who just always got the government contract somehow. Just, even though they're supposed to go to like small business, it's interesting and weaponized that I think it was episode 38 or with George Knapp and Jeremy Corbell. They're talking about, OSAP and the funding and how government programs, the contracts are supposed to go out for bidding, and, smaller companies are, supposed to have first bids on this. And he goes, and then, nobody bid on it. And so then Robert Bigelow got it. Oh, how convenient that just no one happened to bid on a $22 million project. And Bigelow just happened to get it. It seems pretty convenient. And again, I don't have all the information, and I could sound like an idiot potentially, but that wouldn't be the first time nor the last. And just it seems very convenient, right? So if I had that kind of money, I would imagine if Skinwalker Ranch was like open to the public to a certain degree, right? Safety first, of course, right? That's what I would be doing. I wouldn't be, and I don't know Brandon Fugel. And from what I know about Brandon Fugel, I like the guy. To be quite honest with you, like some personal things I've heard about him that aren't broadcast or publicized anywhere. Brandon Fugel sounds like somebody who, is deserving of, some respect, and seems like a good person, right? The guy who owns Skinwalker Ranch now. But if I bought Skinwalker Ranch, I would probably turn it into a museum of some kind. But without, disrupting the ability to investigate and things like that there. Who knows what I would do? Right? The point is, I would be broadcasting the results as loudly as possible, disseminating them to as many people as we could. Information is power, and we need to, and I believe in power to the people, right? So information to the people. There's lots of issues. There's lots of things in this world that are of paramount interest and importance to the survival of people. And I believe long-term, this is one of those things. And you might think I'm being a little grandiose about it, but I do think that long-term, this is one of those things. And disclosure is a big part of that. And that's why I rail about this so much, like a maniac, like a lunatic, some people might think. I'm gonna take a quick pause here, and I'm gonna wet the whistle, lube the pipes, and we'll be right back. Remember, patreon.com/Ryan Singer. You get all these episodes ad-free. Okay, and I'm back. I just want to give you a quick example. Excuse me, sorry about that. And also, by the way, thank you to the patrons. I appreciate the support over there. If you haven't gone over there, there's stuff going on over there. So check it out. If you want to know what it's like to live that ad-free life as a $3 a month patron, I put one of the recent episodes up, I think with Alex, that just came out last week. I think I put that up for everybody, even people who, aren't patrons, to listen to the ad-free life over there. So you can just get a taste of it. Kind of like give you a taste so you get hooked on it. Anyway, I want to give you a taste of like some things that Space Force has tweeted. If you're not on UFO Twitter, it might be the only reason to stay on Twitter anymore. Here's some of the things that they tweet. quote, Earth is only half the battle. You remember what I was talking about? Like, it's like, okay, what perspective are we viewing the world, right? Earth is only half the battle. Cyber attacks and jamming of our satellites. At 17,000 miles an hour, a piece of metal the size of a coin can be weaponized. A military branch that protects the hopes and dreams of America and our way of life as the space domain becomes more and more contested. Well, when foreign powers can build bases on the dark side of the moon. When private companies are inventing a new economy beyond our planet. Our Space Force is defending our country here on Earth and wherever our mission takes us. I mean, are you kidding me? See, it's all, this is also, fear-based, right? Like economies off the planet, bases on the dark side of the moon, weaponized coins. It's pretty wild, right? I don't know. If you're on Twitter anymore, or on X or whatever you're calling it, David Grush, who is one of the whistleblowers, has come out months ago. Is a popular name over there. It's a way to try to stay up, on some of it. Although it's pretty difficult. Most of the stuff on UFO Twitter is garbage, and it's, QAnon-infused bullshit. But, it's... QAnon is still around, by the way, which is mind-blowing to me that QAnon is still out there. There's people out there who still believe in QAnon and adrenochrome, and it's like that movie, the child trafficking movie that was out not long ago, with a couple really big QAnon adrenochrome people in it. Anyway, David Grush is one of the whistleblowers. Now, you have to keep in mind he was cleared. Everything he's ever said publicly, he's been cleared by the Department of Defense to say. So what this tells us is that where there is information that's allowed to be given, right? And I think in today's world, it really kind of seems like people are just so, I don't know if people get bored too quickly, too easily, but they're on to the next thing rather quickly. And the UFO thing seems to be slowly but surely gathering, or gaining, I should say, a foothold in the forefront of people's minds, as opposed to being something that was always in the back of people's minds. Does that seem fair? I think that seems fair to say that. Now, having said that, I think some of the latest news is that David Grush got his security clearance back. So that's kind of big news, right? Some people think it's an indication that the floodgates of disclosure may be getting ready to bust wide open, and who knows? I don't exactly know. I can't predict, what the government's going to do. And then you get into, you have to be careful over there, because you can, like almost all things over on social media, they devolve into he said, she said, she said, you're an idiot. No, you're a liar. You're stupid. That's why you think I'm a liar. No, you're an idiot and a liar. That's why you think I'm stupid and a liar. It's tough to keep up with, quite frankly. And you'd have to be paid, a decent wage on a full-time basis to try to keep up with it all. Now, what does it all mean? You have all these characters that are in the world of disclosure. You have specifically, now let's talk about the short-term characters. The characters who are kind of, I don't want to say Johnny-come-lately type characters, but let's talk about David Grush, and specifically Grush and Lou Elizondo. Now, between these two, can you trust or can you believe anything that either one of them are saying? I mean, that's up for you to decide, I suppose. Now, there are reports that Grush will not come in and testify to lots of the things that he said to the, I think it's to the overview committee, Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick, who's running that. Now, I don't, obviously I'm not privy to this. There's a guy, John Greenwald. Well, that kind of came out in like 4 syllables. John Greenwald at blackvault.com. Anyway, he runs the, and has for years, the blackvault.com. He's filed over 10,000 Freedom of Information Act requests, and, which is bonkers, right? This has been the guy's obsession. That's what he does. He just files, FOIA requests, or FOIA, or however you want to pronounce that weird acronym. Now, it is interesting because I'm getting into the realm of, other people's character and things like that. These are all people I do not know, and I'm not going to disparage any of them. So I mean, people have to make up their own minds, right? But like I said, the information is daunting when you try to wrap your brain around it or try to keep up with the politics of it all, and also the drama, which, oh God, I mean, wouldn't it be nice to remove all the drama from this and just kind of have it be black and white, kind of on the pages? What you read is what you get. That would be really nice. But that is not the nature of UFO phenomena. That is not the nature of paranormal phenomena. It has always been full tilt dramatic. And I'm not going to sit over here and act like that hasn't been some of the allure for me or for everyone who's interested in this. The full tilt drama of the paranormal world, specifically between the people involved trying to uncover it, right? Obviously, there's drama when a person is frightened to death by a phenomena, right? I'm not talking about that drama. That's just inherently part of it, right? When it comes to things that go bump in the night or high strangeness. What I'm discussing is the drama that happens within the community. The tea that gets spilt, the gossip, etc. Now, for me, this is an issue that I would like to see it taken seriously by everyone. There's a large group of people who do take it seriously. I'd like to see the world take it seriously, and I think we might actually have some actionable, demands. If the entire world demanded an answer, the very small minority that is potentially able to keep secrets secret, they would have no choice. They would be overwhelmed. Now, the drama is a big part of it, though, and the drama is why. And I've found myself involved in the tiniest amount of drama in this regard over the years, but nothing super duper dramatic, right? I mean, we get into a little bit of that. My buddy Darcy Staniforth and I did the Problems in the Paranormal short little mini series handful of years ago, where we talk about some problems, what we think are problems in the paranormal world, specifically tracing most of them back to the protocols of the Learned Elders of Zion, which is an anti-Semitic propaganda, document or book or whatever, treatise, manifesto kind of thing, that pretty much is at the heart of most conspiracy theories, specifically the ones that are anti-Semitic. And, the Jews taking over the world through the banks and blah, 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 all that garbage. Most of it stems from that. Even influenced Hitler's point of view. It's pre-Hitler garbage. I mean, Henry Ford, built Ford tough, built Nazi tough, is more like it. Because Henry Ford was, you've heard this if you listen to the program, but in the very first edition of Mein Kampf, Hitler gives a shout out to Henry Ford. Yeah. And that's why I love Ford's commercials right now on TV. They're like, we put America first. There's something about truck companies, dude. I love it. Like, truck companies have taken it upon themselves to be like the most patriotic of all the vehicles. You know what I mean? Like, we're trucks. We are trucks and we love America. That's why you see all those American flag decals on like the back windows of like these huge trucks that get like 14 miles a gallon, but that have like 40-gallon tanks. They get like 14 miles a gallon on the highway. But guess what? Those people don't need good gas mileage because they never leave the 5-mile radius of where they were fucking born. Okay, those people just never leave their hometown. What I'm trying to say is they don't have a big worldview. Anyway, Ford trucks, because we believe in America. That's why you got all those plants overseas. Sure. So anyway, that's why you sued the United States government to rebuild the plants that were in Germany building Panzer tanks after the war. Yeah. For America. Well, I mean, you can't blame the descendants, You can't blame the children for the sins of the father, I suppose. So let's try not to do that here. Anyway, so there's some drama, right? There's some drama. There's some paranormal drama. So there's all kinds of drama and just BS and people getting into like social media garbage fights on UFO Twitter, all that kind of stuff. Now, have I been recording this whole time? Okay, good. I have been. I honestly did not realize if I came back from commercial break, or not. So where it stands now, many people are terrified, petrified of the current world's events. Many people think that the chaos ensuing in the Middle East is apocalyptic, and it is part of the prophecies. There are people in the UFO community who believe in the apocalypse. The man-made apocalypse. Let me be very clear about that. Man destroying himself and therefore in the process destroying the environment in which we all live to a degree that you just can't really come back from. Throw that on top of already the climate change crisis, and not to mention all the plastics that are still being used, and we're the ones made to feel guilty about it when it's the companies who should just stop fucking using it. But we're the ones. It's our responsibility to save the earth. Not these multi-billion-dollar corporations using all of this garbage. Nonetheless, or creating it. So there's a lot to get swirled up in. And there's a lot to feel, we're not going to make it. There's the religious apocalypse, and sometimes those things cross over into one another. John Keel has an interesting perspective on this. J. Allen Hynek actually there's a book I'm listening to right now. I try to do this thing where I read a book and then I simultaneously, not at the exact same time, obviously. So simultaneous isn't the right word, but in accordance, during the same time frame, I will be listening to a book and reading a book, thinking that listening to one is different than reading one, so I won't get the things mixed up, I won't transpose the information, etc., etc. J. Allen Hynek has this, if I can remember correctly here, let me see if I can pull this from my brain right now. I will tell you though the name of the book. I should at least tell you the name of the book through the Libby app, which I love the Libby app, which is the library app. If you have a library card, you can download Libby. It's called The UFO Experience by J. Allen Hynek. Now, oh God, I got to turn this back in a couple days. It's a digital thing. I never understood that. Like, What do you mean I have to return a digital book? It's a digital file I have access to. It's the year 2023. More than one people can't have access. More than one person can't have access to a digital file somewhere in the cloud at a time. That seems wrong. I mean, not like wrong, like I can't believe you've done this. This is so wrong. Or like immoral. I mean, it just sounds incorrect. Like it's a mistake. Because a digital book should never be checked out. Does that make sense to you? I think it does, probably, right? I'm not the crazy one here. I'm not the crazy one here. Anyway, in the book, The UFO Experience by Jalen Hynek, he talks about oftentimes there will be contactees or people who are in contact with UFOs, and then they fall into this thing where they have the information now, right? They're the ones with the relationship with the extraterrestrials or the intelligence, and they've been given very special information. And they fall into not a prophet, almost as if they were a prophet, or more like a messenger, right? And he theorizes whether it's, it's just part of the phenomena, right? That this is one of the things that can happen. And, I've seen it happen. I'm not going to act like I haven't. Over the years, and if you're a part of the paranormal world, people come and go who are supposedly tapped or chosen to be given this special message. And typically it's always the same message. One of, hey, get your shit together, stop killing each other, take care of the earth. Which seems like a pretty nice message, right? So is this just a subconscious manifestation of the human psyche, of this connected consciousness that we have, that we know we have to do these things? And we're looking for ways to express that to one another. And this is one of the manifestations of that. I don't know. It's not a bad message. What would the world be like if everyone who ever had a UFO contactee experience, right? And they're like, the message they gave me was, take what's yours. Stop sharing. Do what you want. The hell with everyone else. That's not the message, though, right? It's the opposite of that, which is at the very least interesting, that the benevolent messaging across the board and over long periods of time from extraterrestrials, quote unquote, or higher intelligence to contactees is framed that way and is of that substance as opposed to what it could be. It's food for thought, for sure. But when everything starts unraveling, or seems to be unraveling around us in the world, of course we are going to be grasping for some kind of hope, some kind of explanation, or some kind of roadmap of what happens next. That's just who we are as animals, I suppose. One would think that the icing on top of this chaotic cake might be full disclosure of alien beings, or the introduction of such, not by our governments, but by them making themselves known, right? And then what are the next steps? What happens after that, you might ask? And I really don't know. I really don't know the answer to that. There would be next steps, and we would figure it out. I do know that. But the appearance of aliens in the daytime sky, or on CNN or Fox News or whatever, or on the internet, on Twitch, wherever, on YouTube, that doesn't make all of our problems go away. That's one thing I do know for certain. Just because aliens show up and start talking to us and become part of reality, even though many of us already believe they are part of our reality, we're talking widespread mainstream reality, that doesn't make our problems go away. Why? Because the issues that are causing our problems haven't been figured out yet, or they haven't been addressed, or they haven't been solved. We haven't worked on them properly. So they will manifest themselves in new ways. That just seems to be what would happen, right? So I'm not over here waiting for the aliens to save us. That's the point. That's what I'm saying. The aliens aren't going to save us, because the systemic issues that cause our problems, and we're talking about inequality, we're talking about fear of the other, we're talking about greed, we're talking about abuse of power. All of those things, they don't go away. They just take new forms in the new world, in the post-alien world. And you can see that unfolding in many microscopic kind of ways, whether it's on UFO Twitter, whether it's in the news, whether it's through political campaigns, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Or driving by a tent city, then 5 minutes later by a 20-room mansion in the same city, practically on the same street. These inequalities, these discriminations, these abuses of power, this fear that controls so many people's lives. What is it all? A fear of death, I suppose. I'm really into that. I mean, you know that. Aliens aren't going to make us immortal either. I mean, I'm over here talking about how we're all immortal and how consciousness never ends and it's just the after form. And is that just me wishing to never die? That could be true. Maybe because I don't have, organized religion anymore. Now I've got the paranormal. Is that what's happening here? You know what I mean? I'm not going to say it's not possible. But, for so many people, God is their safety blanket. And for others, the paranormal is our safety blanket, maybe, right? And when someone challenges or tries to rip away our safety blanket and leaves us shivering, that scares us, because we weren't ready to hand over our safety blanket yet. And maybe, just maybe, accept that once we die, it's all over. But when people try to force others to give up their safety blanket and snatch it from them, whether it's, hey, your God isn't real, or hey, the paranormal isn't real, or et cetera, people become defensive. People become scared. And even so much on a level of when someone challenges your belief because they believe something else, they might as well be stealing your blanket. It's the same thing. That's why I think so many people find it difficult to accept other people's beliefs that are opposed to their own, or even just different than their own. Because if I accept your different belief to be okay, basically what I'm saying is my belief could be bullshit and I could die and nothing could happen. And I'm just not willing to accept that. Is that why people are against gay marriage? I mean, maybe subconsciously, if you really boil it down, you could argue that, well, if I let men marry men, that means my God isn't real, and that means when I die, I don't go to heaven. Oh my God, no. Scares people. If I think it's okay for a man to have sex with another man, that could mean that my God isn't real and that I can't live forever. So I'm not willing I'm not willing to do that. Is that what drives that hatred and that bigotry? Potentially. I think on a deep, deep level, you could trace it to that. So at the end of the day, we don't know. Are aliens real? If you tell me they're not, I'm just going to assume that you're scared of death. Will disclosure happen? I certainly hope it happens in my lifetime. And, if I had to guess how many more years I've got, I would say I probably got 40. I'd say I'd say I at least got another easy 40 years or so. So that gives us 40 years to get to the bottom of disclosure. I think we might get there. And, and it doesn't. Here's the thing. At the end of the day, we don't need other people to tell us what's real, right? I mean, this is the big thing, right? I guess. I don't know what this has been the thing the whole time. And it makes me kind of feel silly that I'm just now talking about this or getting around to it. We don't need other people to tell us what's real. We experience things. We believe things. Maybe we've seen things or heard things, or maybe we've just heard enough stories and talked to enough people that we know something to be real. And we don't need an official statement from an authority figure to give us the stamp of approval, to validate our beliefs. Much like we don't need science to validate the measurement of paranormal phenomena. Would it be nice? Yes, sure. Because so many people would be brought into the fold if, in fact, there was overwhelming, which one could argue there are, BT dubs, by the way, scientific studies of paranormal phenomena proving the existence of such things, which I would argue there are, and there are parapsychologists. There are books and books and books and books about this stuff. People aren't going to read those. People don't have the time to. But we don't need people to validate our beliefs, right? And no person can be an island, a singular force holding on to a belief all by themselves without really shaky waters ahead. I mean, I know that from personal experience. You believe, you're the only person who believes in something when the rest of the world isn't so sure. After a while, the pressure, that outside force, starts to really impact you and make you feel a little shaky, make you feel like you might be crazy, and maybe you misinterpreted the events happening around you and created a fanciful story for some reason. We need community, and Alex and I talked about this in last week's episode. We need community. That's part of it. But at the same time, I don't think we need validation from the official source. Sooner or later, everyone's going to have a paranormal experience if they haven't already. That is when the tipping point, as Malcolm Gladwell would call it, there will be a tipping point where enough people will have had a profound paranormal experience, maybe an SPE, maybe something they sought. SPE is spontaneous paranormal experience, or maybe something they sought out, so it wasn't spontaneous. More people than not will be believers. It will become the majority. It will become the mainstream. That's just what's going to happen. Because when something is real, it will present itself as such eventually to everyone. That's just the way it goes, I guess. Okay, thank you for listening. We're going to get through this. The world is tumultuous, and, we are not built as individuals to process global pain in such magnitudes and at such a neck-breaking pace. Wars, hurricanes, earthquakes, wildfires, mass shootings. accidental deaths. It's a lot. It's a lot for an individual to try to process. And I'm not so sure that most of us have emotionally evolved or equipped ourselves in such ways to be ready for the explosion of the worldwide connectivity grief network. It kind of just happened overnight. And boy, oh boy, is it a lot. So give yourself a break. You're allowed to unplug. I'm not telling you to not pay attention to anything ever. But what I am saying is it's okay to unplug for periods of time and give yourself a fucking break. Give your nervous system a chance to get balanced. Because none of us are any good to anyone if we are frenzied, frayed, and fried. So I love you. I hope you love yourself. We're going to get through this. And the people of the earth have had enough. The people of earth have had enough. That's what's important here. We are the people of earth. We are not Americans. We are not Palestinians. We are not Israelis. We are not Russians. We are not Chinese. We are not Canadian or Brazilian. We are the people of earth. We've had enough of this. Every time a rich man's bomb flies, another innocent child dies, and that just seems like bullshit. We've had enough. We're getting there. I feel it. I sense it. We're going to do it. Time to plug comedy shows? Jesus, right? You can go to thegoofballrun.com and you can see where I'll be performing stand-up comedy in the month of December with Jeff Tate, my buddy Gilbert Lawand, and Dave Stone. The Goofball Run. It's going to be goofy. It's going to be an hour and a half, 90 minutes where you can hear some jokes. Not have to worry about your nervous system shutting down from being bombarded with 24/7 horror, chaos, and sorrow. No one can live like that. Not effectively. Love yourself. Do it. Do it. Do it. I command thee. Anyway, disclosure is coming. You know, the world of the paranormal is going to become the normal soon enough. It's already happening. More people and more and more and more people are seeing things or having experiences. We are already the majority. More and more people will be having these experiences each and every day. And it's just a matter of time. So, and then we'll be on to the next thing. Whatever the next unknown thing might be, we'll all be onto that. And so isn't that exciting to even wonder and speculate about what that might be? Anyway, also, I'll have more news soon about Paranormal Carnival, which is a new live stream show I'm going to start. I'm going to do a test run of that show probably in a couple weeks. There's a lot of ducks for me to get into a row on this. There's a lot of prep work, and there's a lot of technical work that I need to figure out how to run a live stream show. You know, so I got to figure that out. Anyway, I'll have more information about that coming soon. But in the meantime, take care of yourself and, read some poetry. Have a milkshake. Do whatever you do to just love yourself a little bit and give yourself a smile if you can, which you can. I believe in you. And we got another great interview coming up later this week. I believe it's going to be Dr. Gallagher this week, someone who's been studying, a psychologist who's been studying demonic possessions for decades. Wow, that's going to be a fun one. Look for that on Thursday. I think it's this week. Might be next week. Me and my buddy Noah are getting on the mics too, so who knows what happens. Okay, we'll talk soon. And if I don't see you at a live show, I'll see you at the watering hole on the astral plane.